Part three. So here we are going to introduce something that will help you, right, clearly understand what's happening. So the pipeline lag, all right, trademark, yes, that's from the Growth Masters Consult. The hidden 30 to 60-day gap between your booking, between your content and your bookings. So the hidden 30 to 60-day lag between your content and your bookings. All right. So this is a graph that we put for you together. I think it should help you clearly understand what we're talking about here. So the pipeline lag, again, so a real measurable gap between visibility work, landing, and the book call. So you are putting in work, you are doing this stuff, but there's a season, right? There's something that happens between you putting the work and you seeing the type of results you want to see. And if even after you go through this, you will understand what accounts for some people always in another webinar, we'll talk about how to shrink that time. Because you can shrink that time, you can shrink the lag time. It can be 60 days as it is, but as you grow into the business, based on what you keep doing, it can become just how they call it. It can just become 50 days and then 45 days and then 30 days. Right? So you're not forced to actually move with a certain speed when it comes to things. So I'm writing this down. It's just an idea that just came to me. So I'll just have the webinar on how to shrink lag time. So you could just do a webinar video. So make sure you subscribe to the channel, and there will be the community link in the page as well. So make sure you also join the community as well. We look forward to hearing from you. All right. So day zero, right? First day of work. So visibility work posted, right? You are posting content over here. So what do we end up seeing? So most coaches somewhere over here, right? This is the greener part, the greener side. This is what we only want. This is what seems like a darker side. All right. So most coaches judge here. So they start judging here like that. So too soon. The work hasn't had time to convert yet. And I always say, I've been saying since from the very first webinar, if we put ourselves in the shoes of the people that we consider as our target audience or our potential customers, we will be different in the way we approach business. We usually say that we think about the customer, but I've come to observe that we usually don't think much about the customer. We just think about meeting our goals. And whenever we don't meet them, we question everything. Based on if today you are, for example, maybe like a customer, right, and you are your viewer, if you are going to spend money on somebody, maybe spend your time working with a certain coach or someone, rarely will it even take you just seeing one video to know that, okay, this is the person I want, or just seeing one coach, no, this is the person I want. Most of the time it will take so many touch points. In the first webinar, we deal with the authority gap. We touched a lot on this subject of touch point, right? Trust. It takes some things to have this trust being built over there. So it's just too early for the content that you are putting to start resonating with the people. And sometimes the person will end up messaging you or maybe booking you, maybe watching your videos over and over, may find the first video nice, but they are not yet at that place of, I want to do business with this person. Or there are some things going on in their lives. Maybe the money that they may have the money that you think they need to have to work with you now, but that money too was already planned to work towards something. So there are many factors going on in the mind of the customer. And when we put ourselves in their shoes, I think it changes things completely, right? So then, what's the mindset over here? I told you that this what is it? I don't know whether it's still possible for me to see the drawing. All right. I told you that this particular, let me find another color. So this is graph upon graph, but I think it's needed. So this particular time, this is what we want to spike, but this particular time, where it seems like nothing is going on, is the market fishing out those who don't have the stamina or those who are not supposed to be there for a billion reasons. All right, for a billion reasons. Today is not the time to talk about that, but you will need to have a certain understanding to survive this. All right, that's what I wanted to point out too. All right, let me just remove it quickly. So what's the mindset of people over here? So 30 to 60 days later, right where most coaches have already stopped. So you usually see that it actually converts here. So what you see is that most coaches have stopped. Here, the market is overloaded. Everybody is posting, is continuing their posting, how they call it, posting, how is it called, when you are doing something over and over continuously, right? They are posting campaign, they are doing it over and over, they are continuing with it, right? They are doing it consistently, right? And then many people are doing that. But the number, if you see, if maybe 1 million people start here, start on the same day, you measure 1 million people start here, maybe here you see 50,000 people over here that are still doing it every 60 day. So most of the time, I've spoken about it before, but like you will need to believe something, right? To really have a certain mindset. It's mindset that will keep you at work over here. Mindset and data actually, right? Data strengthen the mindset, but there must be something more than what you what you think you have seen or what you think is working or not working. That's holding you in this thing. So by the time you go through the 30 or 60 days, through it, you start seeing your booking spike. People start booking, people start reaching out to you. And then what you also see is that you have a lot of content over here. So some way, somehow, that's what I'm talking about. The time that it takes, the lag time starts shrinking. Because most of the time, right, in the eyes of the viewers, maybe they need to watch video A, B, C, D, E, F, J, right? H, and then like 8 videos before seeing. But based on the content that you made, you only have 4 videos that they can watch. And the algorithm, whatever algorithm it is, know perfectly, know based on their watch history, right? Know based on what their watch history, particularly in 2026. The algorithm knows based on their watch history what they're actually looking for, even based on their comment, what they're actually looking for, what they're actually desiring. So if that gap, right, that gap of 4 videos out of 8 videos that's supposed to be made and watched by them is not being filled by you and it's being filled by someone else, despite the fact that they will come somewhere and order from you, right, you would have a longer time before that happens. I say everything changes when you see things from the perspective of the customer. Everything changes. So having that compassion and that desire to actually see what they are feeling on the other side helps a lot. So the lag doesn't mean the work failed. It means that it hasn't converted yet. Yet is a keyword over here. All right. So in a very practical way, let's look at the this pipeline lag and then the two working parts. So the first one is the lag exists on every platform. That's what you want to understand. All right. So content, be it content, a webinar, a networking conversation, a referral introduction, there is almost always a real gap between first exposure and a book call. People rarely act on the first touch, no matter how strong it is. Again, the keyword there is rarely, not that it doesn't happen, but we're saying that what can you do out of 10 times? That will work 9 times. Not you don't want to build your philosophy around the thing that work one. You don't want to build it on it's possible that you can meet somebody today, have an introduction, you hear about you tell them about your business, you tell them about what you do, right? They like what you're doing, they give you the biggest ever order. It can happen, but for even those who have these type of things out of their business journey or their business stories, how many times did that happen? For those who are consistent. If you compare how much money they make out of those one first meeting, big order type of thing, right, compared to how much they usually make by putting system, you see that whatever they make on rare occasions, on those one first encounter with first order is relatively very low, really low compared to what they make on the consistent system that they put. So the goal of this whole thing is just tell you that it whatever the lack happens everywhere in life, right? It happens everywhere. So you meeting somebody, you webinar, whatever it is, there's a time where the person needs to know you, needs to hear from you, right? Stay in touch with them, and then something bigger comes from it, right? The thing about your audience online is that most of the time you are not the one going to send content to them. What you will do is, or what we do is that we post content on the platform and then we let the algorithm direct the content to them based on their needs and based on how appealing our content is to them, again, based on their needs. That's what we do. So the second part of this whole pipeline lag is the lag is invisible in the moment. So I mean, nothing about how strong the piece of visibility work signal, right, its own delay time. It doesn't matter how strong, how powerful, or how well edited your video is. As I'm talking to you now, there is somebody who has posted a video at a Mr. Beast level that will not get Mr. Beast type of visibility. Not because he's not good, not because he is not at the level of Mr. Beast, but there's just time. Mr. Beast is not having the views that he's having just because he's posting good content. Time works something for him. And I only want, I mean, coaches to fully understand that anybody building anything great. For me, it's been an eye opener, and it keeps me grounded doing the work or doing what I'm supposed to do, right? You just know I'm doing the right thing. Sometimes you just need it. And it's crazy because around you, everybody can think that you are doing something wrong, right? You yourself, you can think you are doing something wrong. That's why the race are delaying. But rarely will you hear people tell you that just take your time. Just be patient. Really. And that's a sign of wisdom, truly. When people can come to you and can understand that you are not doing something wrong, but time also works something in you or works something in the markets. Then now you're having a full counsel, right? Then what you're supposed to do, then what also time we do as well. So the trap is self-reinforcing. That's where you have to really understand this. How bad can it get? This is the whole point of this slide. How bad can it get? So how the loop runs. So stopping visibility work during a quiet stretch guarantees a famine roughly 1 lakh period later. So when you stop the work in a in a lag season where things are not going well, you are sure that there's going to be a time coming up, be it 30 days, be it 15 days, be it 90 days, where it seems like things are going to be a little bit slower, right? In terms of revenue. And then which reinforces the belief that quiet stretches was a failure, which produces more stopping. Think about how catastrophic that can be. And that's the point of this webinar, trying to stop those type of things. And it can be like, if you check this, like 90% or 80% of people that feel stuck in coaching or anything, that seems to be going through cycles over and over again. This is a problem. This is a problem. You may know the right thing to do, but how do you understand or how do you interpret times when you are doing the right thing and then nothing seems to be changing? All right, so what breaks the loop? The pattern repeats indefinitely unless the lag itself is measured and accounted for. So you ought to have once is a known number, the loop has nothing left to run on. So what you were doing, the mistake what was happening, the mistake that many of us were doing is that we will usually take this loop or this particular lag time and immediately put on it failure time, bad coach time, not good enough coach. Put all the negative connotation to it. But what the system or what we are showing you here is to take that number, not reject it, not deny it. Take that number and give it a different interpretation. And we're not telling you to make something out of nowhere. We are just telling you to look at your data, look at things that are being done by yourself and things that have been done in the past and only give the right name to that particular thing because it's not a failure time. It's not a lag time at all, right? It's a natural part of the process. All right, so the pipeline lag at one glance. So the first thing is exists everywhere. That's the first thing you have to understand, that lag time or lag exists everywhere, right? Every platform has a real gap between exposure and booking or exposure and sales. Every platform has something like that. Though the only places where you may not see it is for those who already have built a big enough audience in the market and popularity beyond the screen or beyond the phone. That allows them to be visible and to be marketable and to sell anywhere. Ronaldo never had a YouTube channel, but Ronaldo was already big on Instagram, already big on Facebook, already big on other social media platforms. So when it came on YouTube, right, and if you are a brand trying to work on a sponsorship deal with him, you obviously wouldn't want him to think that, oh, because this guy just came on YouTube, I'll pay him something less. No, you pay him like you pay any other YouTuber who has had the same type of following. Because he's not just coming there as a new person, he came with an audience. And that audience easily found him and still have the same feeling, the same emotions towards him. The platform just changed. which some will somehow even bring in more excitement because it brought in a lot of excitement, right? When the platform changed. So the next thing about the pipeline lag is the being invisible now. And that now you understand. So nothing signals its own delay time in the moment. So the great posts that you are making, the great videos that you are making with all the effect, with all the time you are spending editing. I'm not saying don't spend time making great content. I'm not saying that at all. But I'm just saying that great content, which is effort, doesn't guarantee the speed at which you will get the results. And I'll show it to you visually with two graphs at least, right? So the third thing is self-reinforcing. So stopping early guarantees the stopping early guarantees the next famine. That's a funny thing. So if you are not addressing this thing very early, right, you keep on stopping too early in your content and keep on reinforcing the belief that there's something wrong with you, or keep on making sure that there's a nice next famine in the pipeline, and you don't really want that. Nobody wants that for you. Webinar. So you already know the feast and famine isn't random, so let's map it out with you. So we're offering to you a free 15 minutes discovery call to go through this entire process, and we'll be glad to hear about your business personally and see how best we can help you. Of course, behind the free, there is a premium offer as well. I don't need to tell you that as a coach. You already know. All right. And then in the next webinar, or webinar number 6, we look at why does staying visible feel like a second full-time job you never sign up for, right? I think there are some coaches watching this that would love to hear it. So next, we tackle what happens when staying visible enough to keep the pipeline full, start costing more than the business is meant to support. And that's a sad reality for many coaches as well. So thank you once again for staying with me to the end of this webinar. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye-bye.